Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Zellmer, patient advocate at Midwest Functional Neurology, and I am here today with Erin. And Erin is a soccer player at UND in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And she is going into her senior year, and she is in preseason with her soccer right now. And she just finished up a week-long intensive with Dr. Schmo. And I invited her here today to share a little bit of her story. So thanks for being here, Erin.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Amy. My concussion story is I got my second concussion on September 23rd of 2017. It was just a normal Saturday practice, and we were just going through a routine drill, something that I can do on a normal day, like very easily. And for some reason, someone passed me the ball, and I thought I could control it just super smoothly, but I ended up tripping, and I was in the air for like a couple seconds, and I basically just hit my head on the ground in like a sideways position like this, rebounded back up, and then hit my head again. And now that like I think of it, and like over the past couple months, I've realized that I did black out, but then I like didn't realize I did. And I actually didn't think my head was the issue. I ended up hitting my hip also when I hit the ground. And so I got up and I was crying because my hip really hurt. And I was like, I think I dislocated my hip, or like I fractured something. Like my hip hurts so bad. But then after like a couple hours, I was like, why am I still crying? Like my hip doesn't hurt this bad. Like I'm usually not, like I have a high pain tolerance. So like, why am I crying about my hip? And then I couldn't stop laughing, and it was just like an uncontrollable like thing between like crying and laughing. And like I called my mom, and she was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know, like I'm just in a weird mood. And then I woke up the next morning, and we had a game, and I drove to my game, and I don't remember getting to my game, and I immediately knew something was wrong then. But I didn't really want to tell anybody, but people like kind of noticed because I was acting really weird, and I was like really slow moving and just like seemed super disoriented. And I ended up just kind of lying to everybody and saying I was fine, because as an athlete, like we love to play, and like that's just like I want to play no matter what. And I wasn't gonna let like something that I thought was so small like ruin my chance of like not starting or like losing my starting spot. So I ended up playing through the whole game, and I had a really amazing game somehow. I think just like adrenaline kicked in, and after the game I felt fine. Like I was like, I'm good. Like I don't feel how I felt earlier. Like this is good. And then I woke up again the next morning, and it was the absolute worst feeling. And I continued to try and push through it for a week, because my team was going to California and Arizona the next weekend. My mom had bought tickets to go see me play out there. And I just like eventually realized that I couldn't push through, and that my season was over. So yeah.
So who eventually realized that you were concussed?
Well, they knew I was concussed, but they, my athletic trainer did. And she always knew, but because I'm so stubborn and like, I was like, no, I'm fine. Like I can do it. She was like, okay, like, let's see if you can play. So, I ended up, or she asked me to do like 20 burpees, 20 push-ups, and then like 20 walking lunges or something. And I just absolutely died. Like I couldn't do them. And so I finally just told her, I was like, yep, like this doesn't feel good. I'm sorry. I like just really want to play.
And so at that point, then did you stop playing?
Yep, I was completely done. I basically just like sat in a dark room for a really long time. They started like getting me on the bike, because they heard that helps like patients recover faster if you do some exercise. But like I just like didn't want to, and everything just like hurt too much. And yeah, so I missed like a week or two of school, and then when I would go, like it would just be like half classes kind of, or I'd go to like one class a day or something like that. So
Mm-hmm. It's kind of amazing how our adrenaline does sort of kick in. And that's why I tell parents, doctors will say their kid's fine. He has a concussion, but he's fine. And I always say, really monitor them, because those symptoms might not kick in for a few days or a few weeks. And especially with an athlete like you want to play. You're like, I'm just going to play through it.
You can't. And it's like, probably one of my biggest regrets is like playing that Sunday game, because not like, obviously I can't say, oh, if I didn't play that game, like I would have been a lot better sooner, but chances are like I probably would have been better off if I didn't play that game. My symptoms maybe would have been a little less. I took a ton of headers that game because I'm a defender, and that's what we have to do to protect our net. So that's just like, I would highly advise anybody who is an athlete and just like wants to push through, like don't push through. It's not worth it.
Right. When in doubt, sit it out. Right.
Yep. No, seriously. It's
easier said than done.
No, it's so hard. And like, I would have to go to every practice. Like I never missed one really for my concussion, and I'd just sit there and I'd watch my teammates. And that was like the hardest thing ever. But like, I don't know, at the end of the day, it's your brain, and you shouldn't push through if you're not feeling like your very best.
So your injury was last September.
Yep.
And what did you do did you have any therapy, or did you see any doctors? How did that all happen in the beginning?
Yep. So after my concussion, no one really like suggested anything to me. I kind of just would literally sit and do nothing. And because I think they thought like, all right, like a couple weeks, that's like your standard concussion. Like, let's just like give her some time. And then months went on. And they like sent me to our PT, and I would get like my neck cracked, and that did help, but for my headaches, but it was always a temporary fix. I'd feel good the next day, and then the next day would come again, and I'd just feel terrible all over again. But they mentioned a vision therapy here in Grand Forks, and I wasn't able to get in for a couple months. So I think if I would have gotten in earlier, I would have felt a lot better sooner. But I ended up starting that in January, and it helped me a ton. I was able to return to play after. I was feeling a lot better. My light sensitivity was like completely gone. I couldn't even go to a Target before I went to going to this place, because the lights are so bright in there. And so it did help me a ton. But at the end of the school year in May, I still felt like a little off, and season or training for next fall starts in the summer, like fitness and stuff. So I started doing that stuff, and I just like wasn't feeling like the best. Like I felt fine, but like I knew it like wasn't my normal, and I was like, okay, like can't really tell anybody what's wrong or like what I'm feeling, but like I just know like something's off. And so my friend had a concussion a couple years ago, and she ended up seeing somebody in Minnetonka, and she was just telling me about this guy who would do like just these like uncommon things, and whenever she left, she would feel better. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to try that. Like anything would help at this point. Like I don't know, like why not try it? It's my brain. It's the most important thing. And so I ended up doing some research on my computer, and I just happened to come across MN functional neurology, and I was like, this sounds way cooler than what she did, so I'm just gonna do it. So I had no knowledge of it before, but I'm super happy I went.
So when you started seeing Dr. Schmo, you still had that lingering feeling of just being off. I know it's so hard to put that into words, like you just feel off. And I always felt like I was still kind of like moving, even when I was sitting still, or when I closed my eyes to go to bed, it felt like I was kind of moving or rolling around on my bed. And it's so hard to explain, and people think you're totally crazy. Like, doctors just kept telling me, oh, just give it more time, give it more time. And so what did What did he do with you, and how are you feeling now?
So the first session, they put these like goggles on me and they like videotape your eyes, I guess. And instantly after he put them on, I was like watching the screen, and this little red dot was like moving across the screen, and I was supposed to track it. And I instantly felt sick. Like, I was like, I haven't felt this in months. Like, this is exactly how I felt during like my low of my concussion. Like, this is terrible. I like wanted to cry, honestly. I had like a mini panic attack because I was just like, my anxiety is so high. I feel so sick right now. I feel dizzy. I feel nauseous. Like, I like can't see like what is wrong. And Cassie was just like, okay, like we're gonna actually stop this and take a break, and then when you come back, like we'll look at the video. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. And when I came back, they noticed that my eyes, when I'm super bad at explaining medical stuff because I'm a marketing major, so this is not what I do at all. But when I was like tracking things side to side, my eyes were fine. But when I would start to look down, I think it's like my eye had a nystagmus, and it kind of just like went like this a little bit.
Bounce.
And yeah, and then when I would look up, it was actually like steps. It was like ding, ding, ding. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. Like, no one's ever noticed that before. No one's ever said like my eyes do this or whatever. And so he was like, yep, I think that's exactly your problem, because when I would run, I just wasn't able to like focus on anything. And I just felt like I was kind of like in a blurred, like foggy world. And it was like very like distorted. And I was like, this is weird. So he said, when you run, your head is actually moving like up and down, which I've like, yeah, that like makes sense, but you don't notice your head is moving up and down. And so when I would look up, my eyes like couldn't like focus on something instantly. So I would just like feel kind of like off. And so what they did is they put me on like a tilt table, and I don't really know like how that exactly works. But after like the first time I was on the tilt table, I felt so sick, and Cassie was only able to get me up to I don't even know, like 30 degrees or something. And I was like, nope, this is like exactly how I feel. Like, I don't want to do this. And then they did, do you know what that thing is where they like zap your tongue?
Oh, the Easton.
Yep. So they did a lot.
Yep.
They did a lot of that.
Yep.
And I was like, at first, like the first day they did that, I was like, how is this supposed to help me at all? Like, I do not understand this. And then honestly, I think that's one of the things that helped most, because like just even at my third session, we went on the tilt table again, and I was able to get like almost a standing position. And so it was just crazy how fast like I improved. So.
And I know Dr. Cassie, she also said she took you outside and did some exercises with you, because as an athlete, you play outside. And so she wanted to do some of these exercises out in the environment to kind of help you reacclimate.
Yep. That was awesome. And that, like, we only did one session of going outside, but my first run compared to the last run that I did outside, I like just felt instantly better. And I was like, why didn't I go to this sooner? Like, this is seriously so life-changing. So yeah.
And you're feeling a lot better now.
Feeling so much better. I'm super excited to be heading into preseason tomorrow. Like, I feel really confident. So yeah.
And did they give you exercises to continue doing at home?
Yep, I have a full packet. I've been doing them just like a couple times a day. They're so easy to do. It doesn't take up any time at all. You can do them for like literally 30 seconds and then just do something else. And I just moved into a new apartment, and I plan on like sticking the sheets of paper like all over my room, and just like when I have some spare time or when I'm like just walking around, just doing one thing quick. So yeah.
And I know for me, like if I have too much computer time, my eyes can start getting a little bit weird again. And so I'll just get up and do my eye exercises. It's like you said, they're like 30 seconds each.
Yep.
And I feel so much better. So
yeah, it's so weird. Like if I'm having a hard time focusing, I'll just do one of them, and I'm like, okay, instantly feel better. Like It's so weird how stuff like that works.
It's so awesome, though, to feel better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Erin, I'm so glad you're feeling better, and best of luck to you going into your soccer season tomorrow. And just thanks for being here and doing this interview.
No, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy you're feeling a lot better after your TBI. So it was so nice meeting you, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you so much.